Alex, Tiffany, thank you so much for recording. As soon as I decided that I wanted a podcast to talk about all this good girl stuff, I was like, used to like the ones that I want on. So I've saved you for Christmas because I think it's such a treat. But before we start talking about Christmas, it would be lovely, but either of you, both of you at the same time, entirely up to you. How did we meet?
Ooh, how did we all three of us meet? Okay, so I heard about Michelle's fabulous book. I'm Alex, by the way, for anyone who doesn't already listen to my podcast. And Michelle was doing a talk about Good Girl Deprogramming at my place of work, which was amazing and like the most packed talk I think I've ever been to in the history of university talks. And I was just really excited by what you're doing in the kind of good girl deprogramming space. The whole idea of it being like that we've been brainwashed like we're in a cult really grabbed me. So then I sort of sidled up to Michelle at the end of that and said, would you like to come on my podcast? And the rest, as they say, is history.
Yes. Yeah. So how did your podcast come about?
Well, my husband.
Do you want to take that one?
Yeah. So I actually stole Alex, my husband. So they grew up together. You don't want to hear the stories. And then, when we moved up to the Northeast, we found out that we were both pregnant around a similar time. So our boys are actually a month apart.
10 days? It's not even a
10 days
month,
apart. Yeah.
Mm.
So we were actually pregnant at the same time. And then we just started talking, went to baby groups together. And I realized Alex is a bit interesting. She's just not looking to just talk about children and nappies, which, it's all wonderful too. But I realized there was more there, like in terms of like life and I want to do more, ambitious. And I thought, I like this girl. So we started talking about babies and doing something in motherhood and many, many Google Drives later, and lots of looking at branding, and she came up with the name for Mambition, by the way. So shout out to you, Alex, for that.
Oh, thanks.
No problems. We just decided to do a podcast together, so that was great.
Now I
And
thought.
Go on.
Sorry. I was going to say, I just thought Tiffany would be the most fabulous podcast host, and I was right. She really is. And we kind of complement each other and bounce off each other. We've got similar perspectives on stuff, but different ways of looking at it, if that makes sense.
Yes, exactly that.
So tell us a little bit more about the podcast and what you're aiming to do. So I know we're recording this in end of November and this is going out in the end of December, but did a little excited scream when I looked on LinkedIn today when I saw loads of different versions of artwork for the podcast. I was like,
yeah.
"Oh, this is exciting."
Jaguar, hint, hint.
Yeah, but we haven't had a crisis of confidence over our ad and stuff. So yeah, well, the idea for the podcast, so we always have been quite ambitious people. And I think, again, that's why we were drawn to one another. And we really felt like ambition shouldn't and doesn't have to die once you have children, but that it's not easy to continue to follow your ambitions, to kind of live the dream after you've had children, because so many other things get in the way. And I talked about this fairly recently. I thought that we were going to find out how to do that. And we have found loads of tips. But we also found out, and I think the big takeaway for me was that no one's managing, like everyone finds it hard and everyone's got different ways of managing it, I think.
Yeah. And I'll just add to that. I think my ambition is a way of, it's almost like we're getting therapy and mentoring at the same time.
It really is.
Yeah. Because we started off going, I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to work and look after kids. And then obviously I do get some help as well. I will say that, I'm not I'm not one of those people who pretend to do it all by themselves.
You're not a Kardashian.
No, I do get lots of help, but I think it's just this, I think it's a mental load. Like right now, I'm getting texts from nursery. There's so much. So it's not just work. Work doesn't get my sort of, 100% mental attention. I've got to think about the kids. I'm thinking about, what did they need at the weekend, this and that. So because of that, I feel like with our ambition, it changes. There's an opportunity here where you're now a mother and it's, so much more. So you've got to kind of change how you work. And I think it's that level of acceptance and it's realizing that your ambition doesn't have to die. It just takes a new form. And I think by talking to other women, we found out they're still so ambitious, but they just had to change things around. So we're now discussing with them how they're balancing it, and then hopefully inspiring other women and saying, look, you will drop some balls, if that's okay. Some are made out of glass, some are made out of rubber. You will feel bad a lot of times, but maybe you can continue regardless, and you can reshape mom guilt. And it's just the way different women are doing it. I think it really is inspiring for other women to listen and say, look, she's got 4 kids, but she's finding a way to make it work. She will, drop some things, but she will keep the things that are important. So there, I think Mambition allows you to get it, sort of look behind the curtains, with other women.
No, absolutely. I did smile because when I was recording my podcast with you, the school called halfway through.
Oh, yeah.
So I was like, of course. And then I think we had to go and get Oliver. So yes, it's
We had a Sainsbury's delivery in the middle one the other day.
Barking. We had my son interrupt one. I had to re-record. That's another thing. Because we don't edit, and I think again that goes into this idea of perfection. We started a podcast, we don't edit it, guys, and my son interrupted and we had to re-record the whole thing. So that's kind of the reality of the juggle, so, and we still push on regardless. So yeah, it's not perfect, but it's just getting it done and getting it started, really.
Yeah. And there's so many shoulds and expectations around motherhood that it makes you want to scream, because no matter what you do, whether you stay at home, you go to work, you work part-time, you work full-time, you work away, you have a nanny, you put the kids in, childcare, whatever you do, you can literally not win because people are going to judge you and criticize you anyway.
Everyone's going to have an opinion, I think, of your choices, and you've really got to. This is something that I think I've got from Tiffany. Tiffany has got quite a happiness in herself, in that external validation either way doesn't affect how she views things, and I think that that's a really good place to aspire to be. I'm quite confident, but I think that kind of self-assurance is different from confidence of just not needing. If somebody thinks you're doing a bad job of it, who cares? If someone thinks you're doing a good job of it, equally, who cares? Doesn't really matter.
No, but I've also got that from you, Alex, I think.
Not
that, tit for tat. No, but it's true. I think this is, I always say to Alex, you're so confident. Like, I'm learning an aspect of confidence from you. Like, Alex is very confident in herself and who she is. And I think, it's really refreshing. I always say to her, where does it come from? I think you said a lot of it comes from your grandmother. Now she raised, and I just think for everybody, we could look back to someone who maybe started that journey for us. And I always admire that in Alex, this sense of she's just comfortable in herself, like just herself. I think we all need that.
Absolutely. Because you're going to be judged. You might as well simply it's like live for you, do what's right for you, bollocks to everybody else.
Yeah.
Okay, talking about bollocks to everybody else, Christmas. So we had a really interesting chat before we came on about Christmas, and I have a lovely story. Lovely, not that lovely. I have a story in the book about me going out for like a very early Christmas lunch and being with my partner James and his mum, and these guys came in and they did that verbal manspreading, so like talking really loudly, and it was like I went to 11 Tenerife. Now I went to Tenerife and he went to 11 Tenerife. It was like very much sort of like comparing manhood sort of conversation, and it was like
okay.
And one of them asked the questions like, what are you all sorted for Christmas? And this guy like very loudly announced to the entire restaurant that he's very lucky because Jill does all of the Christmas stuff, and all he has to do for Christmas is buy Jill a gift. And I was like, you literally can see cartoon steam coming out of my ears at this point in time, because like, does Jill want to do all of this stuff for Christmas? Is it's like, do we need a campaign about free Jill? Well, you know, what
And I think Jill would probably take no gift over having to do it all. Like, some rushed present from Pandora Jewellery is not going to cut it if you've had to slave away buying everyone else's stuff and make all the food and make the house pretty and blah, 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 blah. It's too much.
Yes.
Free Jill.
Free Jill. I know. We need to find her.
Campaign.
But what I was really intrigued about, because I am so lucky that James is literally Buddy the Christmas elf. He loves Christmas. He loves all of the stuff, and he has been, you know, again, recording this at the end of November, and I think he's pretty much sort of Christmas presents, and I haven't even thought about it yet. And
Oh, I'm impressed.
he's literally, I should hire him out like as a Christmas cheer. And I'm a bit like bar humbug Grinch type of human, because I just find the whole thing really stressful. But we work it really well in our house now. So there's no big Christmas Day dinner, because it's the same day as my boy was born. So it's kind of Christmas
okay.
Eve, we do the dinner, and we have steak, not turkey. And then we do just like a nice little breakfast. James goes to his mum's house. Oliver goes on his like Xbox, plays with his friends, and I get the whole day on my own.
Nice.
This is the benefit of having a 15-year-old now. So I just sit and watch movies all day on my own. It's lovely. And so I'm really intrigued what it's like in both of your houses.
Well, I'm definitely the Christmassy one out of the two of us, aren't I, Tiffany? I really like Christmas, and I've been working on a little PDF of tips to have a mum guilt Christmas, a mum guilt free Christmas, I should say there. I really like it. I do feel like there's a lot of expectation on women, for sure. I'm sitting in a room which has got a big pile of presents in it. We have done some of our Christmas shopping already. I definitely end up probably buying about 75% of them, but there is some input from Eddie as well. Like, he's not totally useless. And he's quite into Christmas as well. Although I really love the decorating and stuff like that. I didn't know until we were together. He said that he finds tinsel really tacky. So tinsel's been banned from our Christmas tree. I was like, I really like tinsel. But yeah, he's quite into it too. We have never yet hosted Christmas because we used to alternate between our parents. And then when we had Ted, we just continued to do that on the basis that I didn't really want to make a massive roast dinner for loads of people. But Eddie would prefer that we could stay at home and not be out of the house on Christmas Day. So we've got a bit of a kind of cobbled together Christmas that I think we're doing some things because it's a tradition and not necessarily because we like them. And I think that's part of the problem with Christmas as well, that people feel compelled to do things like have a roast dinner, even if they don't really like roast dinner, or go to somebody's house when they don't really want to. And I think it's one period of the year where everyone has got this real mindset about it's the way it should be done. And oh my God, if you don't have bread sauce on your Christmas dinner or you have something else, like everybody goes nuts about it and thinks it's like not how Christmas should be. What about you, Tiffany?
Oh, it's different. Oh, it's different. I'm going to sound like the Grinch, I think. So we do have a traditional Christmas because my husband loves Christmas. I like Christmas, but I'm learning to like Christmas. So I grew up in it's just the way I was brought up. So sadly lost my mum when I was quite young. So we moved to England. My dad was always working at Christmas. So Christmas was just another day, sadly for me, which is okay. And so I think I lost the magic of Christmas. So having that, and then kind of growing up with that, Christmas just like another day, sadly. So because of that, I think it's been good for me though, because as I've become a mum, and even though Christmas is a lot more celebratory now, my husband loves it, I do feel like it takes the pressure off of me, because I've never felt the pressure to be anything more at Christmas. My husband does cooking. We have wonderful grandparents who just love buying presents. So they've saved me from buying presents. My kids are only 3 and 2. So to me, they don't really know what's going on because I'm like,
Yeah.
they enjoy the ignorance. So I am one of those
Mhm.
people. I know it sounds crazy, but sometimes I don't even buy presents because they get like, they get so much from the grandparents, and the grandparents love it. They come here like last year we had like literally the front room was covered with gifts, and because of that, I kind of felt like me buying something extra, it's just another thing. So I am a bit more conscious about like Christmas and this idea that people get carried away. A lot of people cannot match other people's Christmases. You're on social media, you see all the trees, and I've luckily been able to kind of remove myself from that. So sometimes I wish I was a bit more Christmassy, but I'm not. But I think it keeps me sane. I think it does. Because throughout the year, to me, it's just like I don't feel the pressure to match anyone's anything. I just get on with it. And the kids, but the kids love it. They go to see like a Christmas train. So they do get the Christmassy things. The grandparents, I mean, they see Santa like 5 times. Like, how many Santas do you need? But it's nice. I am glad that because my husband's English, he's been able to give them that maybe more English traditional magical Christmas, because I think maybe the way I was brought up just doesn't, I don't have that. So I'm glad they get it anyway, because Christmas is amazing for children, right? This idea of magic and almost like fantasy. And I think whilst you're young, you should have that, because you're going to grow up and real adulting, right? Real life's going to get you.
Having kids definitely makes it more fun and magical, though,
So,
for
yeah,
sure.
I am enjoying it. Like I went on a Christmas tree, and I think for me, like being a mom has allowed me to get a lot of things I didn't have as a child. Like we go to like the other soft play. You should see me at soft play. I'm the worst. I'm like sliding, screaming, going on Christmas trains. We go to, my son loves trains, for example. So we went to Brussels to go on trains. I mean, I never did that as a child. So I have actually had a chance to almost relive my childhood. And I'm glad for that, because it's nice. So I'm glad they get it though, because life it's nice to have that as a child, I think.
Yeah, it is. It is. I remember like putting myself under so much pressure when Oliver was little, because obviously Christmas and birthday's the same day.
Mm-hmm.
And his best ever Christmas present was a big cardboard box filled with balloons. Honestly, he played with that for days, longer than any other Christmas present he's ever had. It's like,
I love that. I think it's okay to give them that, because
yeah,
kids are quite simple, and you should
yeah.
enjoy the simplicity before they want an iPad. I bet he wants an iPad.
Yeah.
No, he's had and
Okay.
destroyed iPads over the years. But yes, it's
I definitely think, though, that you're right. Like keeping it simple while they're little is a good tactic, because we started to do like I found out you could write a letter to Santa and just send it through the Royal Mail, and then they send you a letter back. So we did the Christmas, and it was like a whole morning of activity of like, let's choose a card, let's write out the card. Now let's go and buy a stamp, because obviously we don't have one. Let's find a postbox and go and do that. Ted really liked all of that. The letter came back. Wasn't really that interested in the letter he got from Santa, but he liked the process of doing that. But then we discovered he only wanted 2 things for Christmas, because he's only 3. So he wanted inflatable planets, which I was like, okay, is that a thing? Do I need to start buying beach balls and just paint them all myself? Like, do I have to make these? But fortunately found they do exist, and I have bought them. God knows where they're going to go. They're going to be a humongous annoyance, but as he wanted 2 things, we've tried our best to get them. And he really likes number blocks, so he wanted the next figures out of that. He's already got some. So we encouraged him to put Play-Doh, which he's always asking to play with, and some other form of like moulding clay on his list as well. So I was like, 4 things. Yeah, we're happy to do that. But I feel like it's the last year we might have such a modest list of demands.
it's like next year, Ferrari, penthouse.
Ferrari.
We went out with some friends for Eddie's birthday the other week, and one of our friends said one of their kids had written stuff on their Christmas wish list of like 20 cans of whatever their dad drinks and a new oven. And then when she was like, why are these on your list? He said, well, might as well, because it's free. Oh, great.
Ah, interesting. You know, I remember, I'll never forget this. I saw a video of a child. I didn't, it might have been a child in Africa. They got given a banana and their reaction made me cry. The child
Oh,
was just like, and I thought, that is obviously, I don't know we live in England, obviously we can't. So, but
It's like, here's a banana. So we're
it's
like,
not going to happen. Actually, my daughter, man, she loves bananas. Man, I might try that actually. So I
wrap
know.
it up.
But, I mean, how beautiful is that? That somebody
yeah.
given a banana and think it's amazing. And the child was, I think, we were like jumping around and screaming. And
Oh,
I really wish I could keep that in my house and just like, oh, banana. But
yeah, that perspective's really like,
yeah,
it makes you think, doesn't it?
it really does. It really does. Yeah, it really does.
Yeah, I think go
I
on.
spent a few Christmases at Crisis, the home. I know I don't want to dampen the spirits while you're time, guys. We can still smile as we tell the story. Crisis, yeah, because I was alone a couple of Christmas. I mean, I've got siblings, but it's not like it didn't have like a family thing. So we pretty much just did our own thing on Christmas. And I went to Crisis for a couple of Christmases. It was just life-changing for me. I remember like you'd be serving food and people would come up to you and go, "Why are you here?" They were just shocked that you would give up your own Christmas to come and spend time with them and help them. They was like, it's just a question I had all day, like, why are you here? Why would you give up your Christmas to come here? And I was just like, wow, like nothing, I think quite humbles you as much as that. Nothing. Yeah. So
Yeah,
that was an eye opener.
yeah. It's so important though, isn't it? It's
So,
yes, remembering that not everybody has resources. And I was a single mum for quite a while. And sometimes it was, and I think I put too much pressure on myself to make everything absolutely bloody magical. And I found that I was kind of okay, sort of like okay-ish during Christmas, but then January was like so burnt out. It was unreal. And being able to manage my own energy during the time of the year where like literally winter, we should be like hibernating and cozy and not running around like idiots doing all of the things, going to all of the parties, visiting all the people. We should retreat, and it's all about rest. That's what nature's doing. Nature's resting, but we're like being absolute lunatics. Just because the sun starts coming out, if you think about it. It's like, yay, the day's a bit longer, let's have a massive party. And yeah, I just found it like living seasonally, I probably have gone too far now, but like just to dampen up the effort and energy around this time of year.
And it doesn't have to be.
Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, it doesn't have to be crazy, does it? Like,
No.
it's just, and loads of it, I think, we talk about social media quite a lot. Loads of it, I think, is probably more heightened because of that. In the 80s and 90s, Christmas was a big deal, but it was more about like family all getting together and stuff like that, and the food and things like that. It was less about the gifts, whereas I think now it is, because of all the like unboxing and stuff like that, it's become much more materialistic. And it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be that crazy like orgy of consumption. It just doesn't need to be.
There are videos online now we can watch people unbox things. Like it's a thing. Like I feel our society is just we're kind of losing our way. Just sorry to sound like a 70-year-old or 90-year-old there, but it's like
it's like kids are today.
yeah, the bloody it's Gen Z. I don't know. But no, but it's true. It's mad how like even unboxing's a thing. Like people actually go online and watch someone unboxes like gifts and unbox like I don't know Chanel bag. I mean, I'd like to watch an unboxing bag. But so it's this idea that the simplicity of things. And I think even what we're talking about here really is the permission to have the Christmas that you need to have. I think that's something we need to give ourselves the permission to do. And maybe it's a case of switching off social media and just kind of sit in your house and thinking, what budget do you have, right? What capacity do you have? And live within your means for that. And I think that's something, again, I'm grateful for. Again, I don't know, the way I was brought up, my dad was super frugal. When I say frugal, you know that church mouse is a church mouse? Like like, times like 1 million. My dad was cool. And so I learned this frugality, and I think it's really helped me to kind of just manage myself, manage my budget, manage my means, and just I'm quite good at just switching what everyone else is doing off. And I think we all need that for sanity.
Absolutely. I also think as well, like the people who get landed with Christmas need to be delegating more. And I think we talked about this when we met last time, Michelle, that it's annoying that other people aren't picking that work up anyway. But if they're not, then they're not going to unless you tell them you need them to do stuff. And hopefully over time, you then won't have to tell them, because I know that's an annoying job in itself. But saying, I need you to pick up X, Y, and Z, or you're doing such and such as present, you need, like, it's on you to sort that out. And just making that expectation pretty clear that you're not
rather
gonna
than I
do
need
everything.
help. Like, yeah, but you need it's like a Brené Brown paint done. It's like, what do I need? By when? What does it look like? What's the context? Do it. Rather than I'm just gonna sit and moan about needing help.
Yeah, I'm the one that probably needs to pick up the slack this year, actually. My husband, he does everything. It's actually quite bad.
Who wraps the presents?
No, because remember, we don't really buy presents for the kids, so it comes from parents. Yeah, so it does all the cooking. So I probably need to do something this year. This is a message from me.
What are you
find
doing?
a lovely present, it'll be fine.
I've been seen by this conversation. Thanks,
Free
Alex.
mark.
Hashtag free mark.
I'll do something this year, but yeah, no, I don't do much.
Oh, that's so funny. Right, so that has like literally gone really quickly. So what I'd love for you to do now is give us a question or something to think about that our audience can go away and do or think about. Yes, that was a terrible way of asking it, but you know what I mean.
We get the point.
Well, I think for me, and this is, people always feel like self-care is this most selfish thing ever, and it's also can become then a competitive thing about like, oh, my self-care rituals and so on. But so Christmas last year, I wrapped all the presents while watching a film, had a glass of mulled wine while Ted was at nursery, and then I went and had a massage, and it was tremendous. Then I went and picked Ted up from nursery. I did that about the 20th of December, and it was amazing. So I would say, look at what, like, doing something that you would like at the very start of Christmas. What could it be? And when are you going to do it? When are you going to kind of treat yourself to it? And build that in as a bit of a non-negotiable. Because you deserve to enjoy Christmas as well. You shouldn't be feeling like Michelle was saying about just exhausted having dragged yourself through it in January. Enjoy it yourself, rein back expectations. And yeah, my question is, what are you going to do to look after you, and when are you going to do it?
Marvelous.
I love
Thank
that.
you. Have you got one, Tiffany, or are you delegating again to
I know. You know what? I think mine, like I said before, it's just giving yourself permission to have your own version of Christmas. I think that for me is so important because, we get all this, like we said already, kind of impressions from social media, the pressure from other people. And I think a lot of life is going your own way, and especially as women, as mothers, as people who are already looking after everyone anyway. So can you take a moment to think about what Christmas needs to look like for you and make peace with that. And I know that's hard, but it's like a muscle. You've got to keep building it, and it's small decisions, pushing back, asking for, saying no, having boundaries. It's just these little steps, and I think the more we do that, the more not just Christmas, but our life starts to look like what we want, because so much comes from like what people expect, what other people's Christmases look like. And then it's just this pressure never stops. So my own would definitely be just start to, have that self-reflection, have that sort of sense of shutting other things out and sitting with yourself to figure out what that looks like. And I think when we can do that, you can have the most simple Christmas, giving your kids some, bunch of bananas all wrapped up. But if that's all you can afford, it's all you can afford. And if you don't see what other people are doing, or you're not trying to be that, or keep up with the Joneses, you have a better Christmas. It'll be peaceful. It'd be like just authentic and you and what you can afford. And I think that's quite important, especially in our society now where everyone's just so impressing, trying to impress, trying to show off, trying to, have the biggest tree.
Biggest tree. That might be a metaphor for something else. Anyway.
Oh, dear, I didn't mean to go there, guys. I am a Christian, please.
Well, thank you. Go on.
I was just going to say, Tiffany and I already know what we're doing for our self-care.
Oh,
pre-Christmas. We're going on a spa weekend this weekend. Mum guilt-free.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I want a spa weekend now.
Oh, sorry.
I don't deserve one. I don't deserve one. I think I'll send James with me on the spa weekend because he's the one that deserves one. So thank you so much for coming on and your wisdom. And I have no doubt this won't be the first. Well, this won't be the only time. This will be the first time again.
But not
why is my words not working today? This will be not the only time I'll have you on because you're so much fun.
No, thanks.
We need to get you back as well for Mambition 2.0. Yeah.
So I'll put loads of stuff in the show notes, how to get in touch with both of you, how to listen to Mambition, and anything else you want me to add in, I'll add that in as well. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
Fun. It's been fun. Thank you, Michelle.
Like